Hi there, it's Liz from Isurus, and today we're looking at a pedal by Earthquaker devices called the Depths, which is a vibe pedal or a vibrato pedal, kind of like Uni Vibe style thing. Looking at the pedal, it's quite simple. You've got your intensity, which is like the depth of the effect, rate, which is the speed, the level, which is the overall level of the effect, and I find you have to have it kind of quite a way past halfway. It kind of is similar to a tremolo, it kind of ducks your kind of perceived volume level. The voice, which is essentially the pedal's tone control. So I'll just sort of show you a few of the ranges of the pedal. So the rate goes from very slow and then you can control the intensity of it, so wherever it is you can have it, so it's quite subtle. And this throb, when you're in the kind of lower setting of the sort of tone part of it, it adds that extra kind of low end, kind of warbly, well, depending on the speed, but the kind of thumpy kind of sound to it. with overdrive, it works best having like the gain kind of after it. Really, it needs to be sort of before most things, really, because otherwise, it just freaks out and makes kind of all sorts of bizarre noises. So yeah, definitely put it before pretty much everything else, really, apart from maybe a wah or something. It can be used quite subtly, but in a way it's kind of best used at its more extreme, because then you get the really kind of spacey, weird undersea kind of thing going for it. But then it does make this sort of effect kind of quite limited in use in a way, because if you use it intensely, it kind of really shapes what you can play. It's kind of sort of limits you in some ways, but opens all these new avenues to kind of different sounds and things. But it's such a strong effect when it's at its intense kind of levels that the actual effect itself really dictates kind of what you play to a certain extent, or kind of, you know, shapes the tone of it in a way. Because the kind of throbbing sort of sound of it kind of becomes such an integral part of the part that you're playing, and that's why I've kind of found with it that much more simple kind of parts seem to work well, where you actually get to kind of have that rhythmical throb as part of the piece, really. So that's a little look at the Earthquaker devices, the Depths, trying to give you that kind of Uni Vibe sort of undersea, hippie-trippy kind of sound, really. Yeah, it's a cool effect, but it's kind of limited use unless, I don't know, unless you're Portishead maybe. You definitely get that kind of sound and vibe going with it, but yeah, it's such a dominating effect. It has to be, you know, something that you really want or need for a part. It's kind of something that wouldn't get a huge amount of use, I don't think, for me personally, but in the right place, on the right part, it can be a very cool, like, interesting sort of variation and modulation, really. I kind of look at it in a similar way to tremolo really. It's sort of best used sparingly, and if you're going to use it very sort of at its intense, sort of deeper kind of settings, then it's going to kind of dominate whatever you play really. But overall, really cool effect. I like the way they've kind of reproduced the circuit in the sort of optical vein of the original Uni Vibe, and definitely gives that really cool kind of throb.